least from what I can see, I think it's very clear that Will is not the man that he used to be, and the relationship has affected him mentally.
Yeah. He looks like a shell of himself.
He looks like a shell of himself. He doesn't look happy or content with where he is.
At all.
Would you say she has been instrumental in you and I redefining our relationship?
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me.
Oh my goodness.
If you could film me.
Astaire, come help us again, please. I'm still dealing with foolishness.
Because she don't just...
Emotional, damn it!
I'm curious though, in regards to this whole, because it said they had an open marriage, right? Like, what are your thoughts on the fact that they had an open marriage? And technically, if they had an open marriage, technically, some people would argue that there's really nothing wrong with Jada having this affair with this gentleman, and that's all stuff that we should all be open-minded to. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, first of all, from my perspective, my belief is that if a marriage is open, then it's not a marriage. Like those two terms are in conflict with each other, so it's an oxymoron.
I know.
By definition, a marriage is closed. If it is not closed, then it is not a marriage. So just barring that for a moment, leaving that aside, assuming that this thing called an open marriage kind of exists, I think first of all, we didn't need to know any of that. They are the ones who put it in the public domain. We really did not. Nobody asked. We didn't want to know. I mean, there are rumors. There are always going to be tabloids talking about you as a celebrity, and it comes with the territory.
Yep.
But you need to know where to draw the line between your personal and public life. And I think some celebrities are really good at this. Some couples, you don't even know, once they get married and you hear the announcement that they're married, you don't even hear anything about their relationship. You just see them coming out as a couple on the red carpet, and that's it. Some other couples, they're able to use the scandals and the paparazzi rumors to their advantage, but you still don't know much about their personal lives. Jay-Z and Beyonce, for example.
Yeah, they're very
they let out, exactly, they're very calculated. They let out what they need you to know. Beyonce sold a whole album based on, the rumors of Jay-Z cheating. But up till today, nobody knows exactly what happened.
No one knows.
So... All
we know is that there was a Becky with a good hair. That's about all we know.
Exactly. And it might not even have been. Maybe that was just the narrative for the album. And
she sold albums too. She was really calculated. I agree. She was really calculated.
Albums. And what Jada and Will have failed to understand is how you draw that line between personal and public. They have let the whole world into their private lives. Now, on the relationship itself, I think it's, at least from what I can see, I think it's very clear that Will is not the man that he used to be, and the relationship has affected him mentally.
Yeah. He looks like a shell of himself.
He looks like a shell of himself. He doesn't look happy or content with where he is.
At all.
Would you say she has been instrumental in you and I redefining our relationship?
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me.
Oh my goodness.
If you could film me.
Astaire, come help us again, please. I'm still dealing with foolishness.
Because she don't just...
Emotional, damn it!
I don't know. When it comes to like topics of marriage, I'm always so confused because I'm always still rooting for them. Till today, I'm still rooting for them. I feel like there's nothing you can't overcome. As much as I feel like she has emasculated him in many ways, there's still something to be said, right, about the fact that they've still managed to somehow still hold their marriage together. They haven't separated from each other. I mean, in your estimation, is there something to is there any redeeming quality about that? The fact that they it sounds like they're still trying to figure it out. Right? Or is this one of those marriages that you feel like should just go in the dustbin and divorce should only be the answer at this point?
I'm not a fan of divorce, and I think there are only a very few limited situations where you should take that route. I think for me, from what I can see, because we don't really know, right? Like what really goes on behind closed doors, but they have opened the doors, so we do know some. But from what I can see, it doesn't seem like they have a real marriage. And I think that they first of all need to redefine their marriage as something that is real, because right now it's not real. I think they have an arrangement, and that arrangement has carried them this far, but it's clearly falling apart. And I think where they need to go from here is basically either defining their relationship as a real marriage, not an open one, because that doesn't make any sense, or they go their separate ways and just agree that this thing was a failed experiment. Because for people that define their relationship in terms of seeking their own happiness, the thing was just doomed from the beginning. That's not what a marriage is. You're not there for yourself. You're there for everybody else, for your children, for your partner, and then they in turn are there for you. So I think they just failed from the beginning because they don't understand what marriage is as an institution.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
I think it really speaks to the point you made earlier about, Hollywood essentially painting itself as this paragon of virtue, preaching to the rest of society about these are the things you should care about, this is how you should live. But if you look at their own house, it's not in order most of the time. And, these things are being promoted as like lifestyle choices for other people, but it's clear that it doesn't work a lot of the time. And I remember that one of the comments that Will had made about their open relationship, he said, for him, this is the greatest expression of love, having an open relationship. And at the same time, he's like, oh no, but I wouldn't suggest this for anybody. But it's also the greatest expression of love. So it's like, which is it? Are you saying that this is like the greatest thing anybody could aspire to? Or are you saying this is not for everybody? So, but the thing is, what we usually hear is from Hollywood couples is like, they're pushing the envelope and encouraging people to try new things. This is the direction that society should be moving in. Yeah. You should be more, if you want to be more progressive and inclusive, this is the direction you should go in. And, we really need to just take a step back and look at what are the results of going in such a direction. Yes, to each his own, but then at the same time, what are the results, right? And you can see in the case of Will and Jada, results are not always good.
No, they're not. But then you also have, you're going to have, again, this is me kind of playing devil's advocate. You're going to have other advocates that claim, well, how about the ones that are practicing the marriage the way that they should be practiced? Are those bringing out all the best outcomes too? You see what I'm saying? Like, and like you hear on Clubhouse, for instance, people bringing up our parents' marriages, like our parents' generations, the older generations' marriages, and talking about how, yes, those ones, they stayed in their marriages, but they were also subjected to all kinds of abuse. And they use that to justify why people should be more open-minded to other forms of expressing one's marriage or something. I mean, what would you say to those people?
I think that's a fair push, because you're essentially saying the same thing that I just said, look at the results. You're also saying on the other side, for the more conventional or traditional marriages, look at the results. So I think it's a fair push. But what I will say is, at least from what I've seen, when it's done well, it has massively outsized positive results. And you can even see it in the research that's been done on the outcomes of kids from two-parent stable homes versus other kinds of setups. And when you know that something has worked for generations on generations, why would you try to fix something that's not broken? What we should be trying to do is making sure that the abuses are minimized. So domestic abuse, for example, oppressive relationships, fixing those problems rather than attacking the institution itself. I don't think the institution itself is broken.
Yeah, I don't think it's broken either. I don't. And you're right. There are people that are doing it right, and you see the results. You see those results. But it's tough, man. It's tough, especially in this day and age, with all the distractions that we have, social media, the news, movies telling us all kinds of alternative ways to look at these things. The good thing is that in America you have the freedom to do whatever you want to do. But you also have to think of the consequences.